The sooner you let go of that control, the sooner you let go of the control of others and the things around you, then you're going to be just fine.
Hey babes, I'm Madeline.
And I'm Deja.
And welcome back to the Elegance Exchange. Today's topic is a fun one, but it's definitely a difficult one. So it's about releasing control, which is definitely something that I think we both struggle with.
Yes.
So it's definitely understandable, if you are too. But yeah, it's just something that you kind of have to learn as you get older. You're not always going to have control over every aspect in your life, and that's totally okay. But you do have to improve it, because if you don't, then your mental health is going to suffer. Trust me.
Understanding that you do not have control over things is probably one of the biggest things that you have to accept. But when you do accept, it's gonna increase your mental health incredibly.
Exactly.
Because
it really is.
we all know people that are like total, as I guess,
control freaks.
Yeah, that's what we call it these days. That are total control freaks, and then like they have to have every single thing lined up, and if it isn't, then they're you're
gonna freak out.
Yeah, you're gonna go ballistic.
Honestly, there's a type A type of person, and then there's a type B, okay? And it's totally okay if you're either or, but honestly, where you want to be is kind of in that perfect middle. So, like Deja was saying, where, maybe you always like to have things planned out, and so if something goes out of that order, you freak out. Whereas the type B type of person, like you have no plans, you're just going with the flow, like, whatever is whatever. You kind of want that middle ground where maybe you have like one or two things planned for the day, but then you leave the rest of your day open. So if, a fun opportunity comes up, you can go take that opportunity. That's a form of releasing control in your everyday life.
Yeah, and like you don't have to lose like all control. Like at that point, you're just being unorganized, and then you're gonna be stressed out over that. So
exactly.
It's really important to find that that
middle
common ground.
And I don't know. It's one thing to focus on other people's control, and then it's another to focus on your own control. You really have to channel in like what can I control, and then what can I not control. Gosh, that's like a tongue twister. Okay,
exactly.
Anywho.
Say for instance, like you're in a situation with like whether it's a relationship or a friendship, and you're doing all this stuff to try and get a result, but then at the same time the other person doesn't want to do that, but you've done everything you quite literally could have. That's when you have to reflect, and you're like, I did everything I could. This person obviously, didn't. There's not much that you can do, and then you kind of have to accept that, you did everything you could.
Exactly. At that point, it's not your fault. And, you can only control the way you say things. You can only control what you say. You cannot control how somebody takes it. And that's something that I've had to learn the hard way,
I think everyone has to learn that the hard way at some point in their life.
Exactly. You can word things so politely, so nicely, but then somebody still takes it personal because maybe they have an insecurity, or maybe, they've had past relationships where people have phrased it in that way, but then they've been totally, like, backhanded with it. You never know what somebody's dealt with or what somebody's going through currently, and so you don't know how they're going to take it. And that's okay. It's not your job to fix how they take it. You can only explain your perspective.
And that's part of that control aspect too. Like you can't control other people.
No.
You can't control, other situations. Like if you can look back at it and be like, well, you did everything you could, or you controlled it the way that you could, then that's all that really is there. And that's a very, very hard thing for people to accept, because sometimes the result of that is something that you never wanted. But the sooner you let go of that control, the sooner you let go of the control of others and the things around you, then you're going to be just fine.
Exactly. And that's where I started taking in self-help books, right? And so one really caught my eye, and it was called The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. So basically what it's talking about is if, say Deja was super late, and I was super angry, and I was super mad, and that's actually bad.
You know what? I was fixing to say, I was like, I'm pretty sure
we were late today, but it's okay. I'm not talking about that. I promise. But like, say Deja were late, and I was upset about it, I would then just say, let them. It's out of my control. Let her. Like, let her be late. It's not my issue. It's not a big deal. Whereas, if I were late, she would say the same thing.
Exactly. Like, I'm gonna be late. I'm trying the best that I can to get here on time. I'm going as fast
You're
as
gonna
I
be late
can. I'm gonna
anyway.
be late.
It's better than, the alternative where it's like I'm fuming all day and I'm like, oh my god, I hate her, like, blah, 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 blah.
Exactly.
No, you don't want that. Sorry, that was a bad example.
You're fine. If anything, the let them theory it's such a great perspective on how to like look at things.
Right.
Because even my sister, she was telling me, she's in high school and she was like, these people are talking, or I hear from a bunch of people still in high school, like my old high school friends, and they'll be like, this person's talking about me and I feel like this person's trying to get at me. And I just tell them, like, let them. Like, they're obviously trying to get under your skin. They're going to try and mess you up, so just let them talk. You
Yeah.
can't control that. You can't control who they go talk to. You can't control what they say about you.
You
So
can only
just-
control yourself
and how you handle
take
it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it really does change your life. And it helps you, focus on what you can control and what you can't. But also identifying your triggers. And this is something that is so key because once you identify them, you can kind of pull yourself out of the situation before it happens.
Mhm.
So, I am like a control freak about my kitchen, for one. Okay, like I don't want anybody in the kitchen. And so that stresses me out. If somebody's in there, I'm like, no, like step out. Or let's see. Do you have like one that really triggers you?
No, honestly, I think the kitchen is a very universal thing. Like
Right.
if you're doing dishes and stuff, and like you're trying to clean this kitchen, and then there's people constantly walking in and like making it worse, like there's no other aggravating feeling than that.
Right. So really identifying those triggers and what they are. So, or maybe, maybe you go to the gym all the time and one of your triggers is like somebody coming up to you and being like, hey, like you're not doing this right. Maybe that bothers you. You just need to identify what really gets you going and like what makes you want to just control everything and try and take little steps back from that situation.
Mhm.
Obviously in life, you're not going to be able to avoid everything that makes you want to take control and, really just hammer in on it. But
Right?
I don't know. And control's not always a bad thing, okay? Like,
Mm-mm.
you do have to take control sometimes if you want to be a leader or if you are a boss, like, you have to take that control. But there are some things that you just actually can't control.
Like, you kind of just need to look at it and be like, what more can I do to help this, situation? And then sometimes you gotta like figure out whether it's best to pitch in, or if it's best just to
Step
let
back.
it, let it go down on its own.
And I always say karma's karma. Worst comes to worst, if they get away with something, karma's gonna hit them right back. It's okay. It'll
Right.
catch up. It might take a little while, but it'll catch up. And then creating a healthy release is also an amazing thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for me, I go hiking, I do yoga, that really just makes me reevaluate and take a step back. And I'm like, okay, there are more things in life than what's happening currently. Like, you just need to breathe
Right.
and let it go.
I go on a drive, I go and take a breather somewhere, I'll go and take a walk. I'm like, let me just sort out my thoughts, let me just sort out my feelings.
Get it together.
Whew, let me just breathe real quick and then we're fine.
Exactly. And that's truthfully all you can do. And it's the best thing to do. Because you would rather release that control somewhere else versus, blowing
on
up
other
at somebody.
people.
Exactly. There's nothing that makes me more mad than when people take their emotions out on random other people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, road rage drives me insane. I can't deal with it. But, yeah, I don't know. It's just, once you figure out how to release control, it really does truly change your life. And, obviously, it's going to be a small little progressive thing.
Exactly. Like, it's not something you can just watch this video and be like, okay, good, I'm gonna like lose all my control now, like I'm
No.
great. It doesn't
I
work
wish.
like that.
No. But we always say, if you improve 1% every day, there are so many days in a year, you're going to be however much so better by the time,
You get to the end of the year and everything.
Exactly. So just little baby steps, because then you're not going to get burnout, And our last episode we talked about that, not getting burnout, not taking the fast road.
Exactly. And if anything, most important, do not beat yourself up when you can't control other things.
No, it's not your fault.
Mm-mm.
Now, unless you're like screaming at somebody and doing all that, yeah,
let's
Maybe-
reflect on
yeah.
it. Let's see, you know, what you could have done something different. But, you know, don't beat yourself up too much when you
Right.
know you did everything you could, and, you know,
There's nothing you can do to change it. It's in the past. You have to move to the future and what you can focus on in the future.
exactly.
So yeah, I don't know. I think that's all. I think this was a relatively short episode. Watch, we're gonna go back and like edit it, and then it's 15 minutes. But I don't know. We'll have to see. So yeah, if you like our content, definitely make sure to follow us on what Instagram,
TikTok, YouTube, Spotify.
Yeah.
We're everywhere.
Yes, and we always love seeing comments. It truly does make our day. Like anytime we see one, we're like, oh my gosh, did you see the comment?
Or
So-
it's like any feedback too, like anything like you would want to listen to in the future, or maybe something that's been like bothering you that you probably need help with.
Exactly. Yeah, we love, getting that feedback and getting what you want to hear. So definitely let us know, but leave a like and subscribe. We love you, babes.
Bye.